little introduction, and so his introduction will be very short. First elected in 1984, when some people wondered if a Republican could again be elected statewide in Kentucky, he proved all of them wrong, or the few who believe proved all of them right. Just the second person in the history of our Commonwealth to obtain the title of leader in the United States Senate. He is our senior senator, the leader of the Republicans in the United States Senate. Please welcome Mitch McConnell.
Great to see all of you here. We've come a long way in West Kentucky, haven't we? Amen. You know, I got a little grief last year after the November 10 election. We were welcoming in a whole bunch of new Republicans. One of the most important and effective of them is sitting right to my right, my colleague in Kentucky, Senator Rand Paul. Reporter asked me, he said, well, what is your main goal? And I said, my main goal is to make Barack Obama a one-term president. And everybody said, why, my goodness. So let me say it again. My goal is to make Barack Obama a one-term president. Between now and then, we do have to try to figure a way to work together. He was duly elected. He's a smart, effective guy representing a totally different point of view. He thinks America ought to be a Western European country, and I don't. But the American people sent us there. They gave us divided government, which, as all of you political junkies means, neither party controls the entire government. And the process is always a little bit messy, but that's exactly the way the founders intended it. They divided the power and expected us to have big fights over the direction of the country, and we do indeed. Anytime the president wants to do something that I think is consistent with I and my colleagues in the Senate's point of view, we'll do it. For example, last December, the president did what most people thought was a 180, agreed with the deal that Vice President and I worked out to extend the current tax rates for 2 more years after they had demonized Bush tax cuts for years. And so my view was, if they're willing to do what I want to do and what most Republicans advocate, my answer will be yes. But most of the time, my friends, that is not the case. And so the theme in next year's election is very likely to be, he made it worse. Now, he didn't inherit a pretty situation. Things have been difficult for several years. But by any objective standard, he made it worse. Since the president took office, unemployment is up 18%. Federal debt is up 35%. Gas prices are up 101%. Individual health insurance premiums up 19%. By any objective standard, the president has made it worse. And so I'm frequently asked, as you can imagine, what would you do? Well, we're all familiar with the old saying, if you're in a hole, quit digging. I'd quit doing what we've been doing. Quit borrowing, quit spending, quit over-regulating, go in a different direction. The private sector, and only the private sector, can pull us out of this economic morass. With all due respect to government employees, and I am one, thanks to your support over the years, growing the government is not going to produce prosperity. I work in a boom town. Washington is the only hot economy in America. And they've done it by borrowing money which your children and grandchildren are going to have to pay back, and hired over 150,000 new federal employees in the last 2.5 years, crawling over every business in America. I've started asking people to come in my office the following question. They're usually fairly large groups. I say, how many of you have had, in the course of the last 2.5 years, over a 50% increase in regulations? Half the hands typically will go up. Half the hands. And then I ask for all the rest of you who didn't raise your hand, how many of you have experienced a dramatic increase in regulations? And the rest of the hands will go up. You see, they think they're smarter than we are. They think they know more about how to run your business and how to run your life than you do. And so they've hired all of these smart people, most of them who went to Ivy League schools. And they're going to tell us how to run our lives. And it's going on all across America. And so it's no surprise that the private sector is clogged up. You may have read that corporate America is sitting on about $2 trillion in cash. Why are they not growing? Why are they not expanding? Why are they not hiring? Because the government is meddling with everything they do. You recently saw the NLRB tell Boeing they couldn't move to South Carolina because South Carolina had a right to work law. Well, we ought to be thanking them for not moving to Mexico. Instead of beating them up and going to South Carolina, the president ought to be going to the groundbreaking. We ought to be thankful that they're creating jobs and opportunity here in America. So these people you see are off on entirely the wrong foot, which leads me to the opportunity we have here in 2011 to impact what happens in 2012. The Kentucky governor's race will be watched by everyone in America as an indication of which way things might be going next year. Now, I know Steve Beshear pretty well. Some of you old-timers may remember that we had a race in 1996. I'm going to say over at Fancy Farm that the race was, shall I say, so comfortable that they called it mid-afternoon and I went and caught a movie. Now, this guy needs to go do something else. You know who he's going to be supporting for president. He's going to do everything he can to help the president. That's not the direction I think Kentucky wants to take. And we're lucky. We don't have just any candidate. We have, in my view, the most consequential Republican in modern times in state government, David Williams, the next governor. Now, the governor doesn't call me very often. It doesn't disappoint me, but he doesn't call me very often. In fact, only rarely have I had what I would call a good working relationship with a Kentucky governor. Our state has become more and more red, more and more Republican. Yeah. We need to demonstrate we can not only do it at the federal level and the state level. We've now got Ken Winters and Steve Rudy and people elected with a Republican label down here in West Kentucky. I mean, my goodness, haven't times changed? With all due respect to all of our great new Republican state representatives and state senators, you can't change Kentucky. You can't change Kentucky in the direction of being a competitive state unless you change the governor's office. And David Williams is the key to that. Let's get him elected. And he's fortunate, of course, to have a terrific ticket with Richie Farmer, Bill Johnston, John Kemper, Casey Crosby, Jamie Comer, Todd Peepu. This is a great ticket, the best ticket I've seen in my time in Kentucky politics. So let's do it. voters of Kentucky a favor. And help set this state in a new direction. I remember seeing in the Wall Street Journal a few months ago a list of the most competitive states. And it was interesting. The 5 most competitive states probably won't surprise you. It's Texas, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida. That is competitive in terms of new businesses wanting to go there. And our neighbor to the south, Tennessee, was one of them as well. There's no reason in the world why Kentucky cannot be more competitive, grow more, head us in the right direction, attract jobs. We've got a great location. We've got a great workforce. What we need is a great government to match the great people of the Commonwealth. So let me close by saying this. I want to thank you, all of you, from the bottom of my heart for the opportunity to represent the greatest state in the nation for quite some time now. As we all know, I'm not exactly a poster child for term limits. But as a result of your confidence and the confidence that my Republican colleagues in the Senate have given me, I've had an opportunity to be in the middle of some of the great decisions that have been made in modern times. I would not have had that opportunity without you. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the chance to hopefully, on almost every night, at the risk of sounding corny, I can go home and prop up my feet and think that, well, you know, I might have made a difference for this wonderful country that we have during the course of the day. And so I'm so grateful for the opportunity to have hopefully done that. And when I go home, I'm not home alone. And I want to also recognize one of the great cabinet members in the modern times in our country who's been back there eating this great breakfast. The person I see when I get home, the longest serving member of the Bush cabinet, the most conservative Secretary of Labor in the history of our country, my wife, Elaine Chao.